Hello and welcome to another edition of Math, Music, and More. No, I'm not going to perform a guitar piece for you right now, partially because that's not what I've dreamed up as the content for this next episode, but also because I just, one, suck at guitar, and two, haven't practiced in about 2 years, so it would be obliteratingly bad to have to listen to that. But I wanted to touch upon the concept of solfège and ear training, because I think in music in general, irrespective of the instrument that you're playing, it's fun to be able to hear a piece and just be able to play it instantly. And that really combines a number of things, of course, but most importantly, being able to discern melodies and translate them into actual notes that you can play, or even seeing them and writing them on paper, and harmonies. Today, I'm just going to talk about not harmonic progressions, not the latter, but rather the former, the melodies. So there are a couple tricks. I think trick number one I would suggest for people that are new to it is to just start to develop the ability to recognize single intervals. And what do I mean by that? I mean, don't worry about the whole melody yet. Just think about building an understanding of what intervals are. I'm not going to go into what each of those are. I'm sure there are lots of other videos to explain what is a perfect fifth, what is a perfect fourth, what is a major third, what is a minor sixth, etc. What I'm going to talk today about instead is how do you actually discern if an interval is a perfect fifth or not by looking at a piano or another instrument, but rather just being able to hear it. And what I'd like to use are just songs that everybody knows. So we'll start with something like the perfect fifth. So if you start on a note like this, the question is, what would a perfect fifth up be from that? And my recommendation is just use Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. The first three notes, twinkle, twing. That's a perfect fifth. And what I'd like you to do, whenever you're in doubt, use scales to back yourself up. Ask yourself the question, if I started on this note and I considered that the root of a scale, what would the scale sound like until I get to the note that I'm trying to reach? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can tell it's an actual perfect fifth. But again, the song that you can use to bridge that gap, we'll start with a perfect fifth. Another interval that is very basic as far as the architecture is an actual octave. When you play a note and you play the same note an octave higher. And what would be a song for that? Be Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So if you want to know what an octave sounds like, just sing the first two notes of Somewhere. Sorry, I'm a bass too, so that's a very hard note for me. Somewhere Over the Rainbow is an octave. So perfect fifths and octaves we have covered. Start listening to music. Start to become a very active listener. Instead of just listening to music, see if you can pick up intervals, especially with respect to the tonic, the root. When you hear the root, of a song being played, do you ever hear those intervals, a perfect fifth or an octave being played? There are other intervals we can cover in other videos that I'll do on later dates, but I would start with those two. And then later on in other videos, we can expand that more thoroughly, as well as start to get into interesting things like harmonic progressions and how can you instantly hear what chords actually should be residing under each of those notes. But let's start with the basics. Thanks so much, and until next time.